Welcome to Docs Outside the Box podcast. This is your official show, looking inside the minds of cutting-edge and innovative doctors. Think you'll find these stories in any medical textbook? Sorry. You're getting real life insight from men and women pushing the envelope beyond medicine. Ordinary doctors doing extraordinary things. Let's start now with your host, Dr. Nee Darko.
This episode is brought to you by Set for Life Insurance. Protect yourself against life setbacks with Set for Life Insurance. Set for Life Insurance gets you disability and life insurance at a reduced cost with their exclusive discounts. Now that's why I use them. Visit www.setforlifeinsurance.com and tell them Dr. Darko sent you. What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I am your host, Dr. Nee Darko, the Doc Outside the Box. And I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the feedback from my last episode with Dr. Brian Williams. Oof. From retweets to shares on Instagram to emails, the feedback has been so positive. I really, really love it. And I'm telling you all, I really took a chance on this one. This was my first live interview, the first time I flew out to go meet someone and actually interview with them. I didn't know how it was going to go. I took some untested equipment with me and it just worked out. So if you all have ever had something that you really wanted to do, obviously it's got to be a calculated risk, but I took a calculated risk and it turned out okay. And I was prepared for it to turn out bad also. And anybody who was following me on Instagram knows that I was filming it from me packing up at 2 a.m. to me getting on the plane, to me getting off the plane, to me getting my bags, to me breaking bread with Dr. Williams before the interview. So I was willing to put my stuff out there and it turned out okay. So trust me, y'all, if you are willing to live outside the box, you're going to have to just take a risk every now and then. So with that, I'm going to move on to a review that occurred on episode 40. Now, this review is for the episode on Dr. Nisha Mehta, and this is from Milan Sheth. I think I got his name or her name right, and it says, I am a non-traditional pre-med student and love writing. I love writing about various topics within healthcare, such as global health topics, people with medicine, medical student loan debt, yeah, I know about that, and etc. My question for Dr. Mehta is, what are your suggestions on being able to carve out time in medical school and beyond to allot for writing? I have a lot of great ideas, but it takes me a long time for the writing process. I appreciate your insight and for this podcast. One of my mentors, Dr. Dale, recommended this podcast, and it has been a game changer. Thank you for your advice, service, and inspiring the next generation of physicians. So, Milan, hopefully I got your name right. Thank you so much for leaving a review on this episode. And also for everyone, please remember the best way to leave a review for the show, the best way to get and keep the show going and to get it moving up the rankings is to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It's so easy to do. All you have to do is go to www.docsotb.com, click on an episode, and on the top of the blog, you'll see a link to Apple Podcasts. Just click on it, and it is so easy. It takes about 20 seconds to leave a 5-star review. Thank you so much. So let's move on to our next episode. This is going to be a fun one, trust me. So I'm going to start off by saying, what if the class clown truly got the last laugh, right? You all remember elementary school, high school, or even in college, there was that one guy, that one girl who was the class clown, and they always had something funny to say, but you didn't really think they would be that successful past that point, right? So what I got to say is, what if the class clown really got the last laugh, right? Let's do an example. Let's say, for example, you had to go to ER, found out that you had to have some type of emergency surgery, I don't know, an appendectomy. ER doc calls the general surgeon. General surgeon comes down 30, 45 minutes later, and lo and behold, it's the same class clown from high school or whatever part in education that you had him or or that you interact with him. He walks through the door and he's your surgeon. What you gonna say now, right? So my next guest is Dr. Buck Parker, and he truly is having the last laugh. He is thriving outside the box, and that is an understatement. So we're going to hear about Dr. Buck Parker, who is an acute care surgeon practicing in Salt Lake City. We're going to hear about literally his transition from high school class clown to his struggles in college to him finally getting into medical school and becoming the surgeon that he always wanted to be. You're also going to hear about some really compelling things about his life, such as how he started a company as a resident, a general surgery resident, and this company made over $1 million selling the popular workout video P90X. I don't know if y'all remember that, but I did that. I got some results with that. You're also going to hear about why he stepped away from all of this and how he thinks limiting thoughts can really affect all of our trajectory in life. He's also going to take us through his time on TV as a reality TV star on the short-lived NBC show called The Island. And his next thing, which I think is really, really fascinating, is he has aspirations, and I think he's going to do it. He has aspirations to create an online medical school. So for people mainly in third world countries who can't afford to go to medical school, this is something where you can do your classes online and then get your medical education of your third and fourth year in some form or fashion in an affordable way. I think he's going to be able to do it. You're also going to hear about his thoughts on physician burnout. And obviously, you're going to learn how he answers the hashtag, I'm not just the doc. So let's get on with the interview. I'm telling you all, you're going to love this one. Dr. Buck Parker, thank you for coming to Docs Outside the Box. Welcome, man. What's good?
Hey, man. How's it going? Thank you very much for having me.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited that you're on the show. I know you're a really busy man. I know you are kind of, between a lot of different things, between being in the hospital and doing things outside of the hospital, doing your YouTube thing. So I'm just really glad you took the time out to talk to us about all the different things, giving us inspiring stories about the stuff that you've done in your past and the stuff that you're currently doing. So I'm just excited to have you on the show, man.
Cool. Me too.
Hey, look, before we get too much into the nitty gritty of the show, because we got a lot to get through with you because you're a busy man. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, tell us what med school you went to.
Yeah. So I went to a Caribbean school. And so I went to St. Matthew's University. It was in Belize. I did that because I wasn't really committed to med school in college. I really didn't think I was smart enough, honestly. I didn't do that great in high school. And I wanted to do it, but I didn't have the confidence. And then about halfway through college, I kind of figured out that I wasn't actually stupid and I could study, and I was just kind of studying wrong and all that stuff, and I started doing really well. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. But I really screwed up my college grades the first couple of years, so there was no way I was getting into a U.S. school. So I actually asked a family friend and for some advice, and he said, you go to a Caribbean school as long as you can take the USMLEs and get a U.S. residency, make sure they're accredited and all that stuff. So that's kind of the route I took, and so I ended up going to St. Matthew's in Belize, which was plus minus. I kind of didn't do a lot of research on those schools. I don't know why, but like you think.
Wait! Like, did you just pay and you just got dropped off on this island? And
I mean, it's
Belize
like,
is a country.
It's like 98, so there's not really any video. There's no YouTube. There's like one picture of this thing on like one internet page, and I apply and they accept me, and I was like, cool, I'm going. And then it hit me like 24 hours before I was going to go. I'm like, there could not even be a school there. They could have just been taking my $400 application fee.
Right.
So anyways, I ended up going there, and it was a very good experience actually. And it kind of shaped a lot of things I did, and a lot of things I talk about now. It's actually very funny.
Well, after med school, where'd you go after that? Where'd you do your residency?
I did my residency at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit.
Dang.
So,
So you went from Belize to to cold ass Michigan.
yeah, I know, man. Everyone, well, that's why I probably got the residency because everybody else there was interviewing, being like, I don't want to live in Detroit.
Right,
Like,
right.
and I was like, I don't care, I'll take it, So, but it was a great program. It was super busy. It's like 850 or 900 beds, like 60 bed ICU, level 1 trauma center, great training, crazy stuff all the time. So it was very good. I mean, it was hard. It was really hard. Like first 3 months, I basically called my parents. Was like, I'm not doing this for 5 years. No way. I'm quitting. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, but I'm not gonna be a doctor. Screw this. This is terrible. This was a terrible idea. Why the fuck did you guys try and talk me in? No, they didn't talk me into it, but it ended up being a great experience.
And then after residency, you finished your residency. What'd you do after that?
Yeah. So after residency, I made more bad decisions.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So for a long, like I always been. Back up. My parents moved from California to Wyoming when I was 13, and I loved the outdoors. I loved the mountains. I loved skiing, all that stuff. And so I really had this dream of like going it, doing residency, becoming a general surgeon, going back to my hometown. Having a great life there, like skiing whenever I want, doing outdoor stuff, but still like being a surgeon and making all this, mounds of money, and it'll be so fun, right? So basically, that's what I ended up doing, but I ended up doing it in private practice. And I was not welcome there. I was only welcome there by the CEO, who hated the other general surgeons. And so I went there, and they, of course, hated me because I was trying to take
your competition,
their business. And I didn't really get all that stuff yet. I don't know why. I just I thought, hey, I'll just go there and be awesome, and everyone will like me just like everyone likes me everywhere. And if you just do your best, it'll just work out. And it just kind of didn't. So I didn't really make any money for the first 3 years out of residency, which really sucked.
So this is private. This is private practice general surgery.
Private practice general surgery
in Wyoming.
In Wyoming. So I tried to get like a mentor with the older guy, but he was kind of a loner. He didn't really want that. So that ended up I just after 3 years I was like, look, this is not working. Like I got to get out of here. I can't do it. It was really tough. I left my hometown. I was really bummed, but that was also a great decision and a great screw up that I did. So I ended up taking a job with MK. Well, I did a bunch of locums in between, and that was good. I mean, it was perfect for what I needed at the time. And then I took a job with MCare in Orlando, and I was in Orlando for a couple years, and then now I'm in Salt Lake City. Doing acute care surgery at level 2 trauma center.
So for all the pre-meds out there who are listening, all the medical students, tell us what acute care surgery is.
Acute care surgery is essentially a combination of trauma surgery and emergency general surgery. So depending on where you are, if you're at a level 1 trauma center, you're going to see all the gunshot wounds and the bad MVAs and stuff like that, but you're also going to see really, late stage acute care general surgery, says perf diverticulitis, gastric ulcers, small bowel obstructions, things like that.
So you pretty much get to do everything basically.
Yeah, I think we're like the superheroes basically of surgery, right? I mean,
so basically everybody who's listening to this show just rolled their eyes. I'm just letting here we go.
I don't know
the surgeons talking they smack again.
People roll their eyes a lot around me, so I'm kind of used to that. But that's all right. So. But yeah, I think, to me, we get to do all the cool stuff. And if you don't like emergency and you don't like staying up in the middle of the night, I was actually operating until 2:30 in the morning last night. If you don't like that kind of stuff, you're not going to like acute care surgery. If you like being the guy to save the day, then you'll probably like that.
Now, before we get into what you're known for, tell us about Buck before you became a doctor. Tell us how Buck was in high school. Who was he? What was he into, man?
So, I was kind of the class clown, and when I told people that I was going to go to med school, they basically just laughed. They thought I was joking because most of the things I said was a joke. But I had a lot of fun. I didn't take things too seriously, and yeah, I was basically the class clown. I played some sports here and there. I was skiing was my number one thing I loved to do. But other than that, I wasn't really involved in academics. I kind of didn't like those people that were, the class stars and all that stuff. So I was a little bit counterculture, but not that counterculture, I guess. I don't know.
You didn't get picked on now, did you?
I know. I was in the cool kids.
We're about to do therapy on this show, man.
You know what I'm saying? I was like in the cool kids crowd, but I wasn't in like the straight A jock crowd. I was like in the like not really misfits, but just the kids that like didn't like had a lot of fun. Let's put it that way.
I got you. I feel you. Okay. All right. Well, look, let's fast forward a little bit because I think it's really fascinating. So in residency or around when you finish residency,
yeah,
you made a ton of money in the internet I'm talking about web 1.0, right? Like we're not talking, we're talking before social media, web 2.0. You made a lot of money, which kind of, I guess, started you on this route to like just basically living outside the box. Tell us about that. How the hell did you make all this money? We want to know.
Yeah. So when I was in my residency, I took a research year, and research year obviously is a lot lighter workload than general surgery residency, and I had a lot of time on my hands, and I really always wanted my own business. I thought I could do it. I don't know why, but whatever. So the internet comes around. I'm like, God, I'm missing all this cool stuff that's happening. Like the tech boom happened in 2000, and I was sitting there like in med school, not even paying attention to it happen. But so when I realized kind of all that was happening, I was like, man, if I could have a website to make $100 a day in residency, that would be amazing, right? Just $100. That was like kind of my goal. And so I started researching a lot of stuff. So meanwhile, I was like an infomercial, well, not infomercial junkie, but I ordered like infomercial stuff before, and I had this exercise program P90X, and I actually
did P90X, man. I got buffed off of that. Like, that was a long time ago though, but I got buffed off of it.
Right. So I lost like 30 pounds on that. And I was like, hey, this is a product like I can get behind. And I started researching about, products and websites and how you do all this stuff. And I found this company that had like this program that taught you all about like, quote unquote, all about, but a lot about making it a website, how to get like a shopping cart, an e-commerce website, and all this stuff. So this is 2006. I started researching this. It's basically like September, October 2006. I realized that I want to do this. They basically say, you need to find a niche, a product stuff. So I was like, hey, P90X is cool. It's kind of hot right now. There's a lot, it was advertising. These guys were advertising P90X.
Wait, just for a second, to set the stage, like you finished residency or you're doing research
I'm
right
still,
now?
So this is my research year. So I've done 2 years of residency. I'm in a research year.
Gotcha.
And so I have essentially, July to July or whatever. Yeah. July to June, July 1st to get this thing going. And so, I say, okay, I'm gonna get P90X. I want to sell that product. So I email, and I found out about affiliates. And being affiliate is basically you go to the company, you say, hey, I would like to promote your product, and every time you sell it, I get a commission, 25%, 10%, whatever it is you decide. So these guys, I went to them and said, I want to be an affiliate for your product, and I want to build my own website. And they said, hey, guess what? We're changing our business model. Why don't you come out to Beverly Hills and check it out? You can come we're having a conference for a weekend and blah blah. I was like, I'm not really sure. They're like, we'll fly you out and we'll put you up. I was like, shit, okay. So I go out there, like, hey, you're paying, I'm coming. So they go out there, and my mom, it's hilarious. My mom is like, not super negative, but she often goes to the negative part of whatever. And I'm like, hey, check this out. She's like, oh, it's a pyramid scam. It's a pyramid. I was like, Mom, it's not a pyramid scam. Come on. So by the end of the weekend, I called her. I was like, it's a pyramid scam. But basically, they were taking their business. It was a multi-million-dollar business. They were advertising on infomercials. Okay. And then most people at that time were calling in, but the web was starting to come around, and people were starting to become familiar and okay with purchasing on the web without talking to somebody. And then they thought, this is a great idea. I don't have to talk to like a salesperson on the phone. I can just purchase a thing on the internet. So I went to their conference, and basically I sat through the whole deal, and they were turning themselves into a network marketing company. And so I essentially was like, look, I don't want to recruit anybody. I just want to sell the product for a commission. Can I do that and make my own website?
And this is Beachbody, right?
And this is Beachbody, yeah.
Okay.
And so they were like, yeah, I guess so. And this is like the president and the CEO of Beachbody. I'm like standing up there, and Tony Horton was there, the guy that did P90X and all that stuff. But so I said, there's like 30 people in this room. I stand up, I'm like, raise my hand. I'm like, can I just build my own website and sell your product? They're like, yeah, that's cool, kid. Get out of here. So I did that, and I was like, great. I go back, and I spend like, I had like one credit card in residency. I think I maxed it out to like $15,000. I got somebody to help me like develop the website. At that time, it was like a Yahoo store. There was no such thing as
Shopify and
Shopify,
all these different e-commerce things that are like basically default now when you get a website.
Super easy to, so I had to pay somebody to do that. Anyway, long story short, my first month I opened April 1st, 2007. By the end of April, I had sold $30,000+ of P90X. And
really?
Yeah. So what I used is Google AdWords, and also I learned how to do search engine optimization. And so I was writing a lot of articles, putting them out there on the web. At that time, you could do that in for a small niche and still get traction on Google, the rankings. And so I used that basically over the next 6 months to get my website. Essentially, if you typed in P90X at the time, my website would be number 2. So people were going, this infomercial was running 24 hours a day. People were calling to purchase the product, but they were also going to the web. If they saw my website, they would go to the website. They saw it was an official product. They would buy the product. So I was spending 10 cents on an ad, and I was selling it, and I was getting like $40-$50.
Damn, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. So I want to be a fly on the wall. So tell me, we want to know how this works. So let's say, for example, we're watching someone back in the day, someone would click on your order or click on your website. They would order, right?
Yep.
It'd show up. I'm sure it'd show up in your email that someone purchased this product. How, you're saying you sold like $30,000 worth of P90X products or what have you. How did you have time to go and mail this stuff next? Did you have drop shipping? How'd you do that?
So initially, I did not have drop shipping. Everything came to my house. I had my entire living room stacked with P90X because I was selling so much. I was pre-ordering a lot of it. At the first 2 weeks, I waited for the orders to come to get the money and then to buy it. And then those orders were they took them 4 weeks to get to those customers, and they were all pissed off. So I learned, okay, I got to pre-order. So anyway, for a while there, they were not doing any drop shipping. Then I actually got a warehouse in Michigan that would drop ship for me. So I would purchase the P90X, send it to a warehouse, and then I had to pay somebody to hook it all up electronically. So when someone purchased something from my site, it went to the warehouse, sent them electronic message, whatever, mail, and they had the product there. They would pick and pack and ship the product for me. So then I didn't have to do that. But for about 3 to maybe 5 months, I was doing it with a friend from my house, shipping it to my house, then repacking it, going to the UPS, and then sending it again. So
what happened after that first month when, the site is going on, the site is working, and you start looking at these orders coming in? Was there a moment where you're just like, holy shit, I'm not ready for this, or what do I do next?
So it was funny. There was this girl that I really I thought was really cute, and she did not give me the time of day. And I had been doing this for a couple months, and I was like an idiot. First thing I did was go out and buy a new car like a moron, And so I drive up in my new car, and everybody goes.
What car was it, man?
It was it was a 2007 Ford Mustang GT. And it was so sweet. Anyway, it's so stupid. But so then I go to this bar, and this girl is there. She's like, "Oh, you got a new car? What are you doing?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "How are things?" I was like, and she heard that I was building. I was talking to her about maybe building. She's like, "How's your website going?" I was like, "Good. I just made $30,000 last month." And she was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, that's right. Right." So that's the point. I was like, wow, this is really something. And I really felt this sounds so bad, but when I started making money like that, and I knew I wasn't boxed into whatever my hours were and my paycheck was from a certain job, I really felt a serious inner peace at that time, because I was like,
See, now you just opened Pandora's box. We want to know about that. Let's talk more about that. Talk to us about that.
I mean, you just feel like you're driving you're in the driver's seat of your own destiny at that point, kind of thing. It's like
CEO of your life.
Right. So, and before that, it's like all these people are in charge of your life, and then at that point, it just opened up. I was like, whoa, like I can do anything, I kind of, it didn't last very long, but because I had to go back to residency, but there was a little time, there was like 3 months where I was making all that money. I didn't have residency, like on my mind. And I was like, man, anything is possible. It was a really cool time. And
now, back at work though, did like people who were in charge of your research or any attendings, did they catch wind of what you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to a couple people about it, and I think they kind of blew me off, and they didn't really think I was doing too much. Like about a year or so later, people started to catch on and believe me, because when you tell, like, you're a resident, you tell somebody you made $30,000 or $40,000 in a month, they honestly don't believe you. Like, there's a lot. I mean, and there's a lot of limiting beliefs that everybody has.
Oh yeah.
And so when you say something like that to somebody, like if you tell some people like, my friend makes like $2 million a month, like, they don't believe that. They don't believe it's possible. So it takes almost a little time for those people to process that.
So now after about a year, you gave it all up though, right? Like residency took over and.
Yeah. So what happens is you have to stay up with all the search engine optimization, because what happens is people figure out you're making a lot of money, and they figure out the game, and it is a game, and other people made websites, and people with more money than me and more vision, honestly. And, I was like, well, this is great and everything, but I want to be a surgeon too. And I'm making great money, but I'm not going to quit my residency to do this stupid, multi-level marketing thing,
it's good money though, Buck. It's good money though, man.
Quote unquote stupid, because some of those guys were, a year or two later, they were making like 90, 100 grand a month doing their stupid internet marketing deal. And so, I mean, I'm glad I didn't quit, but boy, I really was kicking myself for a while. I just couldn't keep up with what it needed. So you start slipping off the first page of Google. You come down. Essentially, the first 3 spots in Google are really what most people look at, and they don't really scroll down. So if you're off the first 3 spots, your sales drop like dramatically. And if you go off the first page, forget it. It's over.
I can't recall the last time I Googled something and went to page 2.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Like, it just doesn't happen.
So after that, it's really tough to come back up. And then I kind of was like, you know what am I doing with this stupid stuff? I mean, it was a great experience, great lessons. I'm really glad I did it, but so I kind of had to let that slide.
All right, so now you're back to reality, right? You're back to resident life. You graduate, you become an attending, but hold up, you take a little detour and you end up on the TV show The Island with Bear Grylls. Did I say it right?
Yeah,
Is it Bear
Grylls. Yeah.
Bear Grylls on NBC. My man, how'd you end up on that show?
Dumb luck. I just met somebody when I was working in Florida, and she used to be in TV, and I don't even know if we talked about doing TV, but look, when people are in TV, they're always like, "Oh, you need to do X," like so. So she was always kind of like, "You should do, you should be Dr. Oz." I'm like, "I'm not Dr. Oz, whatever." But anyway, she sends me this casting call. She says, "Hey, you like the outdoors," and they were specifically looking for a physician on the show. So the show was 28 days, 14 guys on a deserted island for 28 days. The difference between like this one and Survivor is that there was no games or anything like that. There was no prizes, which is stupid. I don't know why anybody would go on a show like this with no prizes, but whatever, I did. But we were the cameramen. There was no production crew on the island with us. They did not want us to talk to anybody. So we were the cameramen as well as the triage. And so it was myself, and there was a firefighter paramedic there as well. So we were kind of like the healthcare team, or the med team there. So that's why they were specifically looking for a physician. And I guess the other people that applied were like an ENT and like a podiatrist. And so, not that that's bad, but they needed somebody that kind of had emergency medicine type of skills, so yeah, I got cast on that show, which was, it was awesome. It was a great experience as well. It was really hard. We ate. I figured we ate about 100 calories a day for 28 days.
So okay, so what's the nastiest thing you ate then?
Well, we ate. We tried termites. That was like the first day, just because we're stupid. Like I'll try termite. Okay, fine.
Do you gotta like boil that or something like that, or burn
No,
it?
we just like crushed them with our fingers and ate them. And interestingly enough, termites taste like wood, right? Like
go figure.
Yeah. Go figure. I know you're like, oh, anyway. But most of the stuff we ate were like the limpets, which are kind of mussels. Those are the majority of the food we ate, and then we had a lot of crabs. The second half of the month, these crabs were like spawning or something. They were everywhere at night, so we were able to kill a lot of crabs. The first 2 months or 2 weeks, we mostly just ate limpets and coconut meat, and that was pretty much it. It was tough.
Now, how far away or far after residency did you get on this show?
This was 2015. I graduated in 2010.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're definitely into your career, and you're doing your thing, and you just decided to go out and do this. Okay. How long did you last on the show?
It was 28 days. I lasted the whole time. There was, it's a really interesting insight to the psychology of a lot of things, of winning, number one, of starvation, of, castaways. I mean, you really start to talk yourself into leaving. Like you hear yourself, before you go, you're like, oh, I'm never leaving. I'm going to do this. It's going to be no problem. And then, you don't eat for 8 days and you go, there's some, I'm sure there's reasons I need to leave. Right. So right. It was in, just not myself, talking with everybody else. Everybody else had a different reason of why they shouldn't be there and why this was stupid. And, oh, this is a TV show. This doesn't really mean anything. I should just leave. And so you're fighting it. And it was really fascinating because I see how, number one, people just quit things because you're trying to talk yourself out of whatever the pain is, And then second of how people actually starve to death out there, because it's not because I think it's because you talk yourself into your for me, it was like calories. Like, oh, well, if I go and try and get, limpets for 3 hours, it's going to bring me 300 calories, but I'm going to spend 900. I should just lay here.
I got you.
I should just lay here, right? And then day after day after day, you start laying there, and you see what happens.
Well, look, you definitely persevered through medical school, persevered through residency. It's very tough to have like a single-mindedness of purpose to make it. So did you ever or do you think, looking back, there are any parallels from your quest to become a doctor, become a surgeon, that kind of helps you on the show? Or do you think I'm just making this up?
No, for sure. I think that, you have to have, there's no, quitting is not an option attitude for, anything that's hard. And for me, in residency, like med school, you have to study 8, 10, 12 hours a day. Nobody wants to do that. You got to have some why. There's got to be some reason that you continually are thinking about that's very, very strong. That keeps you there. And I think the same thing happens with residency. The same thing happens with a TV show like that. It wasn't always the same thing, but I always had something in the back of my mind that I kept going back to, saying, this is the reason I'm not quitting today. And, in that show, it was mostly because I didn't want to be embarrassed in front of all my general surgery friends. I'm like, if I can do general surgery for 5, 6 years, I can definitely do 28 days starving myself. Like that's not a problem. But in your residency, I think you have to have that thing in the back of your mind.
Now, you are obviously right now you're practicing acute care surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
You would you consider yourself locums, or would you consider yourself just kind of independent contractor?
Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself locums anymore. I was definitely for a while, but with MCare, they kind of do hire people in a locums fashion, but I'm pretty stable in one location now, so it's kind of more of an independent contractor.
Now, you are obviously you're a medical expert. I've seen you on CNN. You've been on Fox News. The most recent time, unfortunately, was with the Las Vegas shooting,
Yeah.
the mass shooting, unfortunately. But on a different note, why do you still do all this stuff? Like you're obviously you've done all this stuff in the past, being on TV, starting the website, but now you're practicing now, right? Like
Yeah.
why do you still have, like, you have a YouTube channel, which we're going to get into later on, but
Yeah.
I'd like to know, like, why do you still do multiple things at the same time?
Yeah, I have one common goal for all of this, and it's just to raise my profile and to be able to have a larger platform, because I want to do more good. Basically, when it comes down to, and I didn't realize this really until after the TV show aired, and so the TV show aired in the U.S. And then what they do is they take that show and they'll show it around the world. So it'll go to India, it'll go to Africa, it'll go to different countries. And when it goes to those countries, then I started getting these kids, high school, college kids, that would say, I saw you on the show and you're really inspiring, and I want to be a surgeon like you. Not that I did anything, honestly, that was that impressive on that show. I didn't think it really was. But when you're in that position, you are inspiring people in different ways. And that was really touching to me. Like I did not expect that to happen at all. And I did that show basically for a selfish reason, which was I thought it'd be cool to be on TV. But then I realized that, that brings a lot of different things with it. And there's a lot of things you can do with it. And you can, instead of taking one gallbladder out a day, I can impact, hundreds, thousands, even hundreds of thousands of kids, to do more good as well. What if those kids all take gallbladders out, right? Or cure disease, hundreds of thousands of people, because I inspired them, because I did something selfish, in a sense.
So I mean, that's a lot of social responsibility, because when you go to your website, I think your ultimate goal is to create an online medical school, right?
Correct. So I mean, for me, when I was in St. Matthews, I mentioned that to somebody, and this was like 1999 or 2000, and they laughed in my face that medical school could be online, and I thought, okay, motherfucker, I'm gonna do that shit later. But I mean, not necessarily. But then, I mean, I thought about it right then, as in, this, I do see this as a possible future. But when I get in contact with these kids that don't have anything and don't, they're in India and Africa, and we have the capability to educate these kids pretty goddamn good, right? I mean, they can get educated from Harvard professors, they just because of the internet. So, like, why not, right?
No, I think that's a really good point. Obviously, nowadays with teleconference, and you can be on the web and do a whole curricula. I mean, right now, University of Phoenix or whoever else is out there, for-profit school, or any other regular college, everything is done online now. Right. So I agree with you. The interesting thing would be the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
The clinical experience, like, but that, with virtual reality now, no, I can't say that actually. But, but seriously, virtual reality is a serious thing that maybe, I don't know, maybe you can show some type of core competence through virtual reality.
Yeah.
But
well, I do think it's, take the robot, right? The surgical robot. And a lot of people say this is a stupid exercise, and why do we use this thing and all that stuff. But but you have to make incremental improvements. You can't jump from, the horse and buggy to light speed. You have to go, to a car, to a train, to a plane, to a rocket ship, and then light speed. So, if we start getting these kids educated through the internet or online, maybe at some point we can do that. We can supply them with that second 2 years of, and like you said, like some kind of core competency.
Well, I mean, I think that's really admirable what you're doing, and I hope you definitely get to that point. I think now, I forget his name, but there's someone right now who I think it's Mission U. I don't know if you heard of that, where basically the entire university is online, and I don't even think it costs much at all. And I think the only way that they want you to pay them is based off of what you make afterwards, and there's a lot of social responsibility. So, I mean, I think obviously, being able to educate people from different parts of the world using electronics, I mean, that's the future, right? So
yeah, for sure.
I just want to acknowledge you for that. I think that's great work,
Thanks.
and I hope that it turns out to fruition for you, because I think people all over the world need this.
Yeah.
So I want to pivot real quick, and I want to talk about your YouTube channel,
Okay.
Specifically about one of your videos that you did that I thought was really, really cool. It was one where you were just talking about, how people can become influencers and be able to use that status as an influencer to, bring some money into their lives or to have some type of control. So, for example, like obviously when you were training, when I was training, when you were in medical school, your only job was to be a med student, right? Like your job was to study and that was it. But nowadays with Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat, you have over 200,000 followers, or you have people who have somewhere near that range. Companies want to, they want to be attached to you and they want you to push their products. So talk about that whole concept about being a med student or even being a resident and being able to use social media for gain.
Yeah. So I think it kind of stems from, and I didn't really start to think about it like this until recently, but I think it stems from all this physician burnout. And, people are just upset. Their expectation is not met. When I was, I think, a fourth year or fifth year resident, I did rotation with this guy that all he did was like Whipples. Like he's messing with the pancreas all the time. And he was, I was like, Dr. Vlanovich, why are you doing this? This is crazy. You're getting these people like 18 months or whatever the average lifespan is after Whipple. And he said, it's all about expectation management. And if they expect to live for 10 years, they're going to be upset. If they expect to live for 8 and they live 18, they're going to be happy. And I think we have an uneven expectation as physicians going in. Like when you're a college student and you decide to go to medical school, you have a different expectation of what kind of maybe it actually is. And I don't know if that's because of medicine has changed so much in the last 20 to 30 years or that it's always been like that. But that's what I feel. And I that's what I felt as well until I started to look at things a little bit differently. And so I think one of the solutions might be to, as physicians, we are the athletes of healthcare, right? We're the superstars. We're Michael Jordan and we're Tiger Woods. And so, but over the last 10 to 20 years or 30 years, the administrators and almost like the government has been like, oh man, these doctors, they're doing a lot of great work. Let's take all the value out of what they're doing. Let's keep it for ourselves and let's have them be the middle management. I feel like a lot of physicians feel like they're the middle management when they did not expect to be that. And so they feel stuck in a middle management and not able to really meet those expectations that they had in mind when they decided to go to med school. And then the other problem is that, if you expect to have a turkey sandwich for lunch today and there's no turkey left and you have to have, mayonnaise sandwich, you're a little bit upset. But if you have an expectation of a certain life for 10 to 15 years and then that doesn't happen, that's creating, a giant problem. So that being said, with social media, with the internet, with all the things that are happening recently, I think physicians and med students should take advantage of that and say, you know what, let's take that superstardom back.
Right, almost branding themselves again.
Exactly, and so that's where I'm coming from. Is like and there's a lot of medical students that do have 100,000 followers. You're like, dude, take that and run with it. You not only can go to companies and say, which insurance company do you want me to tell my followers to purchase, or which health insurance? Because that's like it's a huge industry. Healthcare is massive industry, and the physicians are talking like they are getting crumbs. And so it's like, well, it's a huge industry, so we're just looking at it the wrong way, So go to these companies and say, hey, where do you want me to send my followers? So that's kind of where I'm starting with that. And I think it's a little. You asked me, what about med school? Like it takes a lot of time. Obviously, you have to do something that is congruent with that, and it's going to enhance your medical school. You can't really take away from it. I think I did one of the problems I had with that P90X is that it was different from everything I was doing in medicine, and that distracted from medicine that I couldn't learn at the same time. If you can learn medicine and be a better student at the same time you're doing your Instagram or YouTube, like maybe you're creating anatomy lessons on YouTube, right? Or posts or whatever, but you're learning at the same time, you're improving yourself as a student or a resident. And I think that's a better way to go.
Now you're working on a book, right?
I am.
Is it under secrets? Is it top secret? Can you let us know what it's
top secret
about? Or
so I have two. One is exactly that, in teaching students and residents, and actually physicians and surgeons, especially because I don't feel like there's not a lot of surgeons doing this, and they should be. How to use social media to make a bigger impact in the world, number one, but also meet those expectations, whether they're financial or just kind of life goals. The second one is, and so I think it's going to be a little later because I don't have all that worked out yet. so I gotta do some research on that and figure out. But the one I'm doing right now is basically I'm going to call it Selfish Bastard, and it's
okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go with it.
It's basically a little bit of my story of how I did some selfish or did some things for selfish reasons, but really you can use that to make a bigger impact in the world. So I feel like the reason I went on that show is because I thought it'd be cool to go on TV, but what it ended up happening is it showed me a way to help a lot more people than I currently am. So it showed me a different path.
Now, so, there are a lot of people who listen to the show who are interested in writing a book, but they're scared of the whole process of going through a publisher, or some are even interested in publishing through or self-publishing through Amazon. If you could give just one piece of advice for everybody, what kind of advice would you give them who are interested in writing a book?
Well, I went to a book writing seminar. I would start there, and I thought it was fantastic. I was very scared as well. I've been putting it off. So I went to that, and it kind of, I guess, it's not rocket science. You're not doing a Whipple here. So it's not that complicated for most people, but you need to know the basic steps. And for me, going to a book writing seminar showed me the basic steps, and now I went, oh, geez, this is like, it takes time, yeah. Is it work? Yeah, but it's not difficult, So I would encourage either to go to a writing seminar, and if you want, I give you the name of the lady I went to. I thought it was great. Or, I mean, I don't know. There's like YouTube. There's probably videos on how to
You
write a
can
book.
Google your way
But
to it,
you know,
right?
but I will say what I was really surprised is about how easy it is to publish now. I looked into it about 2 years ago, and it was still a little bit difficult. It was a little too many hurdles for me at the time. Right now, Amazon makes it so easy to publish, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to buy, like 2 years ago they're like, great, you can write a book, we can help you write the book, and then you have to buy the books, and you're going to have to buy X amount of books, and it's going to cost you 15, 20 grand. I was like, oh man, I don't know about this. And now you can just put your book on Amazon, and if you sell one, then you only pay for one. So it's a big difference.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Well, look, you always appear to be kind of ahead of the curve, right? You kind of know what's going on. Like you were on internet marketing before other physicians were and other people were, and obviously you were on a TV show and having that lifestyle of a physician on TV. So if I could ask you, like, what's the next big thing that we all need to be watching out for? Because I know you know it, so hook us up. What's the next thing?
Well, I think physician burnout is a big thing, and I think that's going to help us fix a lot of the healthcare problems. But we have to figure out how to do it, And I talk about social media helping us do that. I think that's maybe a piece. I don't think that's the whole thing, but I think physician burnout will drive us to, or somebody, or multiple people, or entities, to figure out how we're going to fix a lot of the healthcare problems. So
Okay.
I'm looking at that.
All right. Well, look, we're making it towards the end of the interview, and I got to ask you some quick, fast questions.
Yes.
Just don't think too hard about it.
Okay.
Just whatever comes off the top of your dome piece. You ready to do this?
Go.
All right, let's do this. What's one thing you want listeners to get from this podcast?
I want people to have permission to be themselves, especially on social media. It drives me absolutely crazy that most physicians kind of put out this, I'm a perfect doctor persona on social media, and I'm telling you that the more you are yourself, the more the right patients will connect with you, right? Not all patients are going to like you, and probably some will hate you, but you will draw in the patients that really love you.
Wow, I haven't had that piece of advice. That's a good one. I like that. What about a life hack that you use for productivity? Because, dog, you're all over the place. I mean, you're
Yes.
surgeon, YouTube,
yeah. You
Instagram.
You might know this one. Upwork.com.
Oh yeah, virtual assistants.
Yes. So
that's my joint right there. Absolutely.
So not just Upwork though, but outsourcing everything. And I listened to a guy that basically put it like this: how much money do you make per hour, right? If paying somebody to mow your lawn costs less than you make per hour, you're making money by paying that guy to mow your lawn, because you need to be focused on the things that that create value for you, not just money. It's value. So if the mowing the lawn takes away from the value that you can create, you need to pay somebody to do that. So you need to outsource all that stuff.
That's really difficult for doctors to as a concept to pick up, don't you think? Because we're so used to being the end all be all for everything, right? We're competitive. It's part of our ego. And if we say we want someone else to do it, then we're like, well, I can't do it myself. Or we just don't think that other person can do the project or do the task as well as we could do it. And we might as well just do it ourselves. And then it takes forever. We end up being a bottleneck. And 3 to 6 months later, you can't get it done. Now, I'm not talking about personal things, but I'm just saying though, right?
You're exactly right, though. You're exactly right, and that's the thing that has enabled me to do this stuff like that. Otherwise, there's no way you can do this. I don't make my videos. I don't make my YouTube videos. I put the camera up there. I turn it on. I talk. I screw it all up. I turn the camera off. I upload the thing to a drive. These guys pull it down. They edit the whole thing. They put music on it. They upload to YouTube. They do all the stuff for me. And I mean, I save 5-6 hours of video on that. Like I can't. There's no way you can do that if you're a physician worker.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because there's a lot of people out there who are doing that right now.
I know it's hard.
They say they have the cameras, they have Final Cut Pro, or they have Adobe Premiere, and they're spending hours upon hours when they could just be making more and more content. So
yes.
I love it. I love that you told us about that what you do for your workflow after you make the video. So, but knowing what you know now, I always ask everybody this: knowing what you know now, what advice would you have given yourself as a pre-med?
Okay. The easiest thing you'll ever do in your life is get straight A's in college so that you can go to a good med school. Now, this is coming from somebody that went to a Caribbean school, and I think, even though it was a good experience for me, it would have made my life a lot easier if I just went to Hopkins, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so,
I got you.
So and college comparatively is easy to compared to med school and residency and then real life. So the easiest thing you can do for yourself and make your life easier and enable yourself to go further and make a bigger impact later in life is to just kick ass in college. And I just, unfortunately I didn't do that, but that's okay.
No, I mean, that's important, right? So I think that's a really good point. Now, I want you to finish this sentence. I'm not just a doc. I'm a...
Okay, so I kind of have a modification to this one, and it's because, and you probably know this.
I don't know, Dr. Parker. I don't know if you can modify my question, man, my sentence, but go ahead.
So the thing is you're saying I'm not just a doc, but I want to say I'm not just a businessman. I'm a business man.
You're taking it from Jay-Z.
That's right.
I love it. Okay. All right. I used that before, actually, on one of my other episodes with Dr. Vicky Chan.
I was hoping.
You know what I'm saying? But it's all good, though. I love it. But nobody's ever answered that question. I answered it for them. So I love it. Love it.
All right, man.
Well, Dr. Buck Parker, man, this was actually a really fun interview. And I want to acknowledge you, man, for just living outside the box and really not accepting traditional thought, not accepting literally, what you're supposed to do. And I really appreciate you just really being down to earth, really letting us know all of the insecurities that you had and even some of the failures that you've had, going through trying to become a medical student to where you are right now. And the fact that you're willing to give back, the fact that you're willing to build a system, educational component that's going to affect people all over the world is really admirable. So I can't wait to see you as you're going through your arc in life. And I know you're going to be able to really affect millions, if not billions of people. So keep what you're doing. I wanted to acknowledge you acknowledge you for what you're doing. And thank you very much for being on the show. Thank
you very much for having me. And I really appreciate your show. There's not a lot of people that have the time or are willing to do this kind of stuff. So it's amazing that you're showcasing everybody like this. It's really great.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that episode. That really was a fun episode for me. So once again, don't forget that we have a Facebook group. It's called Docs Outside the Box Nation. The best way to get to it is just put into your browser docsotbnation.com. There you'll find like-minded people who are thinking or trying to think outside the box. And it's a community where we're helping each other by showing and showcasing all the amazing things that doctors are doing outside the box. It's an opportunity for you to learn more. It's an opportunity to showcase your skills. It's an opportunity for you to just network with other people. It is a phenomenal group, and you don't want to miss out on it. So once again, I'm going to catch you on the next episode. But before I jet, just remember one thing. We only got one life. Let's make it count and live outside the box. Peace.